What is happening? Fishers. Dean here from Untraceable Fishing here tonight with
Jared from Billamora Fishing Tackle.
Anyway, guys, and welcome to
Tackle Tuesday.
Tonight, guys, we're going to look at fishing. Let me try and get this right. Apparel. Did I get it right? I think I did. Anyway, guys, so we're going to look at what you wear when you go fishing. I know it sounds weird. Guys, a good pair of old shorts, good old t-shirt, and a good old pair of running tackies does work at times. But there are some nicer things in the market, so we're just going to run you things of the ins and outs and the do's wear. A lot of things Jared and I do wear here. Makes your fishing a bit more comfortable. So why do we invest money in wearing clothing and the correct footwear for fishing? Guys, first of all, it's a safety reason. You want to make sure you're not slipping on the rocks. Safety, keeping yourself nice protected from the sun and the UV rays of the sun, making sure you're not getting damage to your skin from the sun. Also, safety handling fish, safety handling with gloves, and keeping yourself nice and warm and as dry as humanly possible. So without further ado, let's get stuck into it. So we're going to start off with footwear. Jared, what do you wear when you go fishing?
Look, I mainly wear gumboots. So if I'm on the bricks, I'll wear a gumboot. And if I'm on the surf, I'll just go barefoot.
Okay. So Jared and I pretty much fish the same, guys. So there's a lot of different types of fishing footwear out there. A lot of guys I see on the rocks wearing Crocs. Don't wear Crocs on the rocks, guys. Absolutely horrible. You're going to slip. You're going to cut your feet to pieces. I suggest not wearing them. No disrespect to the Crocs. They have a place in every place. I'd say don't wear them on the rocks. The Rocky sandal, guys. There's a lot of different brands out there and different people that make them. I commonly know as a Rocky sandal. Great for leisure wear. When it comes to fishing, yes, they've got phenomenal grip on the rocks. But if you'd like pieces of shale going between the straps and cutting your feet to pieces and things like that.
Oh. Also your hard barnacles and stuff like that. Not good.
We're going to toss those, guys. So we're left with 3 other sets of footwear here. So the nice neoprene shoe, guys, not a bad option. The grip on the rocks on these are not fantastic. But if Jared says you're all doing a lot of surf fishing and things like that, I suggest maybe if you don't want to wear a gumboot, a nice neoprene style shoe with some drainage is good. Also helps if there is a little bit of shale on the beach, stop cutting your feet.
Yeah. And
some of those beaches where the guys don't clean up properly, broken bottles and things like that, guys. And if you are, especially the guys that are unexperienced fishermen, like you got some guys you're fishing with, they're leaving the hooks lying around, things like that. I suggest always wearing a pair of neoprene, a little pair of neoprene shoes. And then the guys that do a bit of rock hopping, I now wear a pair of these. Their grip's not fantastic on the rocks. I call these my high tide shoes. So if I'm fishing a nice high tide spot or higher rocks where I'm not fishing off actual wet rocks, especially fishing a bit of a higher step down like a Mazeppa Bay and things like that.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit more comfortable in the gumboot. Keeps my feet warm where I'm not getting wet. So I look at a nice little neoprene bootie like that. Also quite popular with the guys doing drop shot and stuff like that where they're wading into the surf and things like that. So that also makes another good option, guys. But I think the number one option out there, as Jared and I both discussed, is the gumboot, guys. Okay, there's obviously 2 different styles of gumboots available.
Yeah.
I prefer this type of style.
I do as well.
I prefer the little bit of elastic on the side, guys. Less elastics do wear over time. They don't last as long as those do.
No.
I find I get a bit more of chafing on those. And then normally these do come with drain holes. So if you buy a pair of gumboots without drain holes, guys, a nice 5mm drill bit, drilling them through the side, and you get a nice bit of drainage, guys. So why we gumboots, everyone thinks it's cumbersome and things like that. Yes, they are. Jared, besides the grip on the gumboots, what other benefits do you see of wearing a gumboot?
Look, what I prefer about them, as you can see here, is that extra length around the ankles. So generally, you might be in between the rocks, you might take a little bit of a fall. That extra length, as you can see there and on here, protects your ankle from getting scratched open. It's not that bad as well when you walking in certain areas. You don't just get sand in the top of it. And I just find I'm way more at ease when I've got one on the rocks.
100%, guys. So besides the superior grip of the gumboot, guys, the ankle protection, if you see my gumboots that I'm currently fishing with, the amount of deep gouges in the gumboot, if that was my foot, I'd be going for stitches 100%.
You'd be finished.
And I've actually got barnacles stuck in my gumboot currently that I can't get out, that have snapped off inside my gumboot. So, guys, I'd say number one choice for the rock and surf guys out there, a decent pair of gumboots, guys. There are a lot of different brands out there. There's Shover, Wayne, Huck,
Rock
Extra
Gripper,
Tough,
Rock in your hands.
Yeah, there's so many different brands out there, guys. So choose a brand that suits you and suits your budget, and definitely invest in a pair of gumboots. One thing I would suggest if you are purchasing a pair of gumboots, we'll let Jared run through these.
So these are the Reef 2mm neoprene socks. It gives you a little bit more warmth when wearing a gumboot. And what I like about them as well, compared to your normal socks, they don't get sand in as easy as what a normal sock will. And half the time you end up having to throw that normal pair of socks
You
away.
can't get the sand out of them.
Exactly.
It's embedded in the sock.
You wear it maybe once or twice, the normal socks, and it's finished. Yes, these do wear down after fishing, but it's a really, really good option to look at. And for the amount of hours you're going to be doing, I still find that they're worth their while. You get the guys who'll say, oh, but they wear down fast. The guys will always come back and buy a new pair because they know they're much more comfortable wearing them.
I have to replace my neoprene socks. I do fish a lot, about every 3 months, guys.
Yeah.
So I get about 3 months out of them. A normal guy, the amount of time he fishes, you probably get a year out of a pair of neoprene socks.
Probably.
Definitely worth it. Besides keeping your feet nice and warm, guys, also stops the gumboot chafe. The one negative about the gumboot, if you're wearing the gumboot, it is rubbing against your skin, you're going to get blisters within seconds. So that's definitely going to stop that from happening. So guys, that takes care of our feet. Next most important thing, I think, is our heads, guys. Especially if you are built like me, sports model, and you don't have hair, you need to keep the sun off the top of your head, guys. No one wants to be having a sunburnt head and start running the risk of skin cancer and all sorts of things like that, blisters on the top of the head. So if you've seen any of my fishing videos on Untraceable, you'll always notice I'm permanently in a cap. Even when I'm anytime I'm out in the sun, I'm permanently in a cap. Obviously, I like the flat peak cap, but any sort of cap can do. Normal guys, normal standard peak cap, nice and ventilated is a good choice. And then for the really hot sunny days, guys, when you want to keep those ears covered and things like that, a nice normal, what we call a bucket hat, rimmed bucket hat, another phenomenal choice. And something we don't actually have on the table is a wading hat, guys. You probably more find them at the surfing shops. Yeah. The more the guys are water sports enthusiasts, especially the guys that are supping and surfing like that. It's a bit of a smaller version of the sun hat with a strap that comes under your chin. So if you are doing some hectic wading into the surf and the waves are washing over the top of your head, it's going to stop that hat from washing off, and if you are fishing in extreme winds. So taking care of the head is super important. Jared, run us through why we use a buff.
The next option we have here is the Gator Buff. So this is a new product from Assassin. Let me just take it out here quickly. So just to show you guys, so this can go fully over the head. Really good option to look at to keep the top section of your neck right up to just above your nose protected. Just from the sun, I also find you can put it completely over the back of your head. So even on those coldish days where you got a bit of a breeze coming off of the sea, it protects quite a bit.
While Jared keeps talking, I'll do one or two different ways I wear buff, guys.
Dean will give you a bit of a demo there.
Well, Jared's carrying. So that's the normal. Yeah, the normal one, guys, especially on the windy days. You've got some sand and stuff blowing around when it's getting a bit cold.
Yeah,
it's nice like that. Otherwise, right over the top, guys. There are like super ninja ways of doing these things.
Oh, so
like that. I wear it like that sometimes. Okay. Over the top of my head is a skull cap.
Yeah.
And then there is another. I don't know if I can actually get it right now. There is another. Actually looks like a ninja way, but I can't know if I can get it right. Oh, there we go. So it's like that, and then right over the top, guys. If you really want full protection, guys, there are some different options. Otherwise, just as a normal neck brace actually works quite beautifully, guys. So definitely invest in a buff, especially for those hot sunny days. When the sand's blowing in your ears and your mouth and things like that, and for those windy days. And something else, not to forget, guys, winter is on its way. A beanie goes a long way.
Oh, definitely. I fished with one over the weekend, and they are must.
Listen, if your head's warm, you're warm.
Yeah.
If your head's cold, you're cold. So the beanie is definitely something you want to look at, guys. I don't suggest fishing with a beanie in the rain. When these things get wet, they're actually terrible on your head. But anyway, for those cold winter nights. So I've got something quite interesting on my arm, guys. It's called a sun sleeve, BKK sun sleeve. Other brands do make them, especially for the guys fishing out in the tropics, maybe throwing lures the whole day in some super hot, still conditions. Yeah. A bit better than wearing a long sleeve top, guys. A lot cooler on the arm than wearing a jacket or things like that. Just to keep that bit of sun and stuff off your arm, quite nice and comfortable. Then it goes as far up as your shoulder. So something nice to look at. BKK make a beautiful set that comes in white for the hotter days. They come in black as well. So definitely something to carry around in your tackle bag. If you just are fishing out in a t-shirt and the sun is getting a bit intense on the arms, I definitely suggest getting a set of these and keep those extra UVs off the arm. Okay, Jared, let's move on to, let's leave gloves for a bit later. So let's look on move on to the different types of pants and what the different types of pants we wear when we're fishing, guys.
So going on to the first option, just your normal shorts that the guys wear. So this is the Assassin brand.
Nice quick drying shorts.
So quick drying shorts for the day where it's sort of your hotish day. You don't really have to bother about covering the legs up from the cold. However, if it is a very, very hot day, another option you could also look at, not so much for the warmth, but just for the protection of your legs and from the sun, is the Assassin skins or tarts. So this is a newer pair on the market, but a bit thicker than the previous material, but quite nice for that between like your overcast day where you don't want to go as full on as looking at like a wetsuit pants, which we'll cover next. So it's just to protect your legs from the heat and from the sun, and also just to keep you a little bit cooler from that bad weather and the bad wind,
guys. So like, guys, I love nothing more than fishing in a pair of shorts. So if I'm fishing predominantly off the rocks, 99% of the times I'm fishing in just a pair of shorts.
Yeah.
The problem I find is when I'm fishing off surf, if I'm fishing in a pair of shorts, I get a tremendous amount of chafe, guys. The chafe is absolutely ridiculous. So if I'm fishing off the surf, I start looking at a pair of tights. They stay nice and cool. They stay wet. They stay nice and cool. It just stops that inner thigh chafe that I'm sure everyone that's fished out there has had before. And the next day you can hardly walk, or you can hardly walk back from your fishing session. So I'd suggest off the rocks, a pair of shorts goes a long way, or a pair of tights if you are fishing off the surf. Another time I also find tights very handy. We've had 1 or 2 days of east when there's a couple of blue bottles around, and you've got some water washing over your legs. The tights do give you that little bit of protection compared to a pair of shorts, guys. I've been caught a couple of months ago collecting bait with a pair of shorts on. First wave, 1 blue bottle. Second wave, 2 blue bottles wrapped around my leg. That is the end of my bait collection for the day.
End of the session.
End of the session.
So next, what we're going to look at is the 2mm neoprene pants.
The 2mm is quite a nice thickness. It's not too hot, not too cold. Quite comfortable, even for the hot days.
So I've personally used these before. I know Dean says he loves the normal shorts on the rocks, but there's certain areas I fish in, same as where Dean would fish, where you need a little bit more protection, whether or not it's that you're fishing very early in the morning, late into the evening, and you got a bit of chill, or even just to go and grab a fish and walking around in the reef. I've been hit once or twice by a raggy's tail or a bronzy's tail, or even just upon grabbing a fish, where the thicker material of this neoprene actually protects your legs.
Gives you a second skin.
Yes, definitely. Gives you a bit of armor, you could say, against the very rough skin of a shark.
If I've still got the...
There we go.
There's the war wound, the heel scar still healing from a couple of weeks ago.
And even if you're in the gullies, maybe you're going to get brushed up against the barnacles or along the brittle rocks. I find that this does protect your legs. My previous pair were chafed to pieces along the knees just because of where I fish in between the rocks.
It's funny how, Jared, like I was going to say, even if I'm wading in the surf, guys, if I've got a pair of shorts on, I feel vulnerable for some reason.
Yeah.
As soon as I put a pair of wetsuit pants on,
you just feel a little bit more at ease.
A little more confident. I don't know if that's going to help me if anything wants to bite my legs off, but I just feel, like Jared says, you've got a little bit of armor around you. I know it sounds weird, guys. Those guys that do spear fishing and stuff like that, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You just feel a little bit more at ease having a wetsuit on than you do as free diving.
Yes.
So a wetsuit is definitely, wetsuit pants is definitely something to look at, guys. But now for the guys that are really the hardcore fishing, the guys that are doing these big, long, deep wades, they're really doing some proper wading and things like that, wading past the head and stuff like that. We're going to move on to what we call the Farmer John, guys. It's a wetsuit designed, this is the guys do surf in this style of wetsuit, but it is a beautiful wetsuit for type of fishing, guys. It has no arms. Why no arms? Because it gives you that mobility in your arms, guys. You want something that's not going to restrict your casting, restrict you playing a fish.
Yeah.
So because fishing, you're not pretty much wet all the time, in and out the water wet, the Farmer John makes a great option, guys. You can obviously zip it down, fold it over, wear it as a pair of wetsuit pants, or on those wades, pop it over the shoulders and stay a bit warmer. So Farmer John is a very good option. They're normally about 3mm wetsuit material.
Yeah.
I know you do get 2mm and 4mm, guys. You get all sorts of different thicknesses, but it makes something you need to have. If you're doing a lot of surf fishing, Farmer John is definitely the way forward to go, guys.
Yeah, a lot of the league anglers use it. So our fish league, a lot of the league anglers use it. Just as well, if you're fishing, even if you are in the water, you're fishing long periods of time in the water, fishing in the surf, when it's really cold, it almost insulates you from the cold temperatures.
100%, guys. So that takes care of pretty much the legs and a bit of the upper body there.
Yeah.
Let's get out the way. So then something I never go fishing without, guys, or pretty much I either fish in a nice light t-shirt, guys, but I like to keep myself protected from the sun. So your UV sun shirts, something I really like fishing in, guys. There's so many different materials and variations of these nowadays. We've got the Kuma Euphoria one here, one I really like. It's nice and comfortable with the hood. So nice fast dry. Normally UV 500, guys, is a rating given to the UV protection, and I predominantly like the ones with the little thumb slits, guys. So once your arm's through, we'll do a quick feed through here. I'll show you how it works. So once your arm's through, guys, your thumb pops through there, and you've got a nice, comfortable hand. Keeps the sun off the hands for when you're not busy fishing at the time. Obviously, when you're baiting up, thumb out, pull it up, or just wear it like that the whole time. Nice, lightweight, guys. Doesn't feel like you restricted in any way. Keeps the sun off you. When they do get wet, they should stay nice and cool. They don't make you cold or anything like that. So a great addition to every fishing cabinet. This one's quite nice. It comes in with a built-in buff, so you don't even have to add an extra second buff on it. Jared's going to pop that on for us quickly.
Yeah.
So Jared, we're going to put Jared as a...
Take the cap off here
We're
quickly.
going to use Jared as a model here quickly. Pop that one on. And of course, Jared's new Fishman cap. Looking fantastic there. Okay, guys, so while Jared's popping that on, that's pretty much going to protect you from the sun. But obviously now fishing is pretty much a wet sport, guys. If it's not raining, you might be having some excessive waves splashing you and things like that. So a splash jacket is something that every guy, every fisherman, lady, kid out there should have. Obviously, you get different grades of splash jackets, guys. You get what we call a lightweight splash jacket, something similar to the fish-on jacket like that, more like a little anorak style. Lightweight, great for light rain and the occasional splash. Going forward, obviously, Assassin also make a great lightweight option. Something nice and lighter, just for those warmer days out there. So it'll take care of your splashing on the rocks and stuff like that. And there Jared has the new Euphoria top on, guys.
This is what they look like when they're on. So
yeah, Jared's going to go into ninja mode here quickly for us.
That's the built-in buff.
And then hoodie over the top.
And then hoodie over the top. So everything's protected. You out of the elements. You as best possible, sealed as possible, you could almost say. So you're away from the rain, the wind, and the sun. Especially the guys that fish long in the sun.
Yeah.
You don't want to worry 10, 15 years down the line about any possible side effects from your fishing, from your sport that you love.
Anyway, guys, that's a great addition to have. Obviously, if you prefer something a bit more formal and looking a bit smarter, guys, Assassin make these beautiful, what I call a formal fishing shirt, guys. Especially the guys that are like, I know the tiger fishermen love these, the guys that are throwing lures love these. Very popular as a boat fisherman. Rock and surf, guys. Also have a look at these, absolutely stunning. Super quick drying, guys. Very breathable. They normally have the little pouch up at the back, especially for those hot days.
Just for a bit of air ventilation.
Getting through. So if you are looking to look a bit more snazzy on your fishing trips, definitely a great addition. I know Assassin got these in a variety of different colors.
Yeah.
And material is absolutely fantastic. So now we're going to move on to the hardcore. Like, listen, I want to go fishing. I don't want to get wet, guys. I fish in terrible weather sometimes, and I don't want to get wet. There's nothing worse than going on a fishing trip and you are soaked to the bone.
Yeah.
Soaked to the bone. So if you are going to be doing some heavy wading or looking to be fishing in some monsoon conditions or some heavier rain, stuff like that, guys, look no further. There are two different brands of jackets that are currently available in the East London, South African market. Quiver make a phenomenal jacket. I don't have one on the table. We're going to pull up Assassin's jacket now and show you what they call, I think that's their double yoke.
Yeah, so this is the Assassin, they call it the Beachmaster, the double yoke. So I'll just run through this, Dean.
Go for it.
Want
all
me
yours.
to.
No, it's all yours.
So they've got the neoprene material on the sleeves to tighten up, just to keep your arms protected. On the top, they've got sort of like a double layer, you could call it.
What they call a double yoke.
So let's just get this open here. Do you want me to put it on, Dean? Then I can show the
You can put it on.
better.
Put it on. Let Jared put it on, guys. So obviously, nice sealed cups, guys. You don't have to worry about water intruding, especially when you're fishing. Normally, when you're walking around, your arms are down. When you're fishing, you normally have one hand up. And my biggest hate is water running down my rod, off my reel, down the sleeve, and I end up having a big bulge of water in my elbow, guys. This jacket eliminates that. Also the nice straps around the waist, guys. If you are wading and water coming up, to stop that water washing up your jacket. It seals up quite nicely around the waist and stops the wind intruding you there. Things are quite a...
Yeah.
Okay, there we go,
You got to
guys.
almost climb into
Yeah.
these things. So yeah, as you'll see there, let me just fix myself up. So you've got this around your sleeves that you can almost lock up for that bad weather. Oh, wrong way around. Then yeah, you've got, as Dean said, the double layer. So you've got a second piece inside protecting around your neck area that you can zip up, and then you've got this other piece of material.
So we're going to go, Jared. We're going to get Jared there, up there, and then we're going to zip him up completely.
So you're completely protected from
100%.
the cold elements, especially the guys that might be, as Dean said, fishing
Through the night.
very early in the morning, through the night. You're on the beach, you don't have the shelter of maybe a vehicle or something behind you that you can sit in. This is the best way of keeping yourself warm. And one thing we also haven't spoken about, the deep sea guys like them quite a bit as well.
Especially if they're surf launching and things like that.
Surf launching, you need something like this. It's nothing worse than you're actually needing to go quite far out to sea, maybe 20 nautical miles, going offshore, and you get all that sea spray before you even get to the spot you're fishing in.
So a good, nice double yoke jacket, guys. If it is a bit of overkill, let's also make a single yoke jacket. Same style jacket, just with a single yoke on top. I'm lucky enough to own both. I use both in their right minds. I prefer my single yoke for everyday use. The double yoke definitely for those longer overnight trips where we are going to get wet. So anyway, guys, I think Jared wants to get that off. So I know what that feels like on it. They're quite warm, guys. Don't get caught off guard by those, but they will do their job. Then moving on to the last thing we like to protect, guys, is our hands. Listen, I don't fish with gloves. There are some guys that do fish with gloves. But there are instances where I might pull a pair of gloves out and start using them, guys. So there are a variety of gloves. I know, must add, they break it down very nicely for us, guys. Especially for the guys that are doing a lot of lure fishing. Very popular, the guys in New Zealand and Australia. If you're watching Caviar and Briggsy, they are doing a lot of fishing with their gloves. Why are they fishing with gloves?
Go off camera quickly.
Go for it. Number one, guys, stop that braid wear on their hands, casting that braid over and over again with wet hands. Also, number two, guys, if you are catching bigger fish and you want that extra grip of holding the rod, where your rod's not just going to be slipped out your hand. I'm talking about targeting proper fish here. A pair of gloves does go a long way. Also aids if you are catching more game fish, style fish, grabbing the fish. Game fish obviously have harder spines, harder spikes, scoots on their tail and stuff like that. So must also make a casting pair of gloves designed predominantly for casting. A lot of ease of movement in the hands, nice and soft on the hands. They also have something called landing gloves, guys. You'll see these are almost like sandpaper-like on the inside. Predominantly for landing fish, you'll pop a pair of these on. You're going to start handling a bullfish or a tuna and things like that. A lot more protection in these gloves, guys. Not that comfortable to move your hands in, but
it gives you that grip and the surety when grabbing a fish that you're pretty much not going to let go.
Yeah.
I think it also helps, and we don't look at it much, but it also helps targeting the non-edge, especially to the guys that fish heavier tackle, that are fishing thicker leaders.
When you can start grabbing your leaders,
you can grab a leader properly without having it also burn into your hands, especially your heavier braid pulling a fish amongst the reef. It does protect you.
A pair of landing gloves is definitely, I know it's going to be Untraceable's next investment. I think we're going to invest in a pair of these just to keep in the tackle box for when we're handling bigger sharks and things like that. I think it's definitely an option because I normally walk out with a bit of damage on my hands.
Yeah.
And I personally own a pair, guys, a pair of mustard sun gloves. These are quite nice. Only your ring finger and your pinky are actually covered with a full glove. Your thumb and your index finger and your middle finger pretty much stick out, which makes it quite nice for baiting up. You've got nice and feel of your line. You can still tie knots and things like that. These aren't designed to protect you against fish, guys. These are just predominantly for the sun. To get a little bit of sun off your hands, especially if you've got a long day out there. You don't want your hands getting burnt. So have a look at their sun gloves. Another great addition. And then, of course, BKK come to the party too, and they make these super stealthy pair of black gloves, guys. Bit of an all-round glove, casting glove. So if you are a heavy lure fisherman out there, I think it's definitely a pair of gloves to look at. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us this evening, running through all this fishing. I can't get the word right again. Clothing and items you wear when you go fishing, because I can pronounce that word. Never been able to my whole life. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. So from Dean from Untraceable Fishing.
And Jared from Bullamoria Fishing Tackle.
We're not going to say goodbye just yet, because, guys, if you haven't entered, it is the Bullamoria Multi-Species Classic, and it starts on the 11th of this month, April, guys. If you haven't got those entries in, Get those entries in, guys. 200 Rand.
Yeah.
We just got word today that as a lucky draw prize, you don't even have to catch a fish. Assassin Horizon number 5.
Jeez, like it.
So you don't even have to catch a
Beautiful
fish,
prize.
guys. One of the prizes up for grabs, Assassin Horizon number 5. We have loads of other prizes, guys. There are 9 different species, guys. So we're talking silver steelmus, black steelmus, white cob, the pig-nosed grunter, galyun, bluefish, ragged-toothed shark, bronze whaler, grey shark, guys. So no matter what species you are targeting, or you want to target all the species, guys, there's a main prize for each one. There's also a team competition, guys, the best judge team, phenomenal prize worth, I think, about 12,000 Rand. I don't know, it's between 10 and 12,000 Rand. We've got the prize listed. It will be coming out in the next couple of days. So make sure you get those entries in, guys. I'll ask Andrew to drop the link in below for the entry forms. I think you can do that. There we go, guys. So get those entries in. Don't miss out on one of the biggest fishing competitions this year. It runs for a complete month, guys. So you have all the time in the world to fish. You have Easter holidays coming up. You have a beautiful long weekend after that. So get those entries in, guys. We'll see you all soon. Cheers.
Cheers.